G'day geeks, my name is Chris, and in this video we're talking about some Masters of the Universe knockoff figures. So He-Man and Masters of the Universe was absolutely huge in the 1980s, and from an action figure standpoint there are a lot of like knockoffs, figures that pretended to be like Masters of the Universe but were made by different companies. So one of those companies was inspired by that whole history. Formo Toys is a relatively new company, and they've produced Warriors of the Galaxy. So I've got 3 figures here, and I'll talk a bit more about the history, but these are very cool. I'm very excited to open them. Let's look at some Warriors of the Galaxy from Formo Toys. Masters of the Universe by Mattel was a runaway smash, and like anything successful, particularly in the 80s, other companies wanted to get on board and make figures that could fit in with that kind of scale. So if you were looking for Masters of the Universe figures in the 80s and you couldn't afford what they were, you could buy something a little cheaper from companies like Remco and Sun Gold, and they were kind of very generic barbarian or evil characters that you could use your pocket money if you didn't have enough money to buy an actual legit Masters of the Universe character. So they had Galaxy Warriors by Sun Gold in 1983, were perhaps the most well-known of these knockoff Masters of the Universe characters at the time. So Formo Toys have the rights to make their Warriors of the Galaxy using the same kind of characters, and a very nice homage to the Galaxy Warriors line, which is a knockoff of the Masters of the Universe line from the 80s. So a bit of a complicated history, but those knockoff figures from the 80s are very expensive on eBay in the secondary market, so this is quite a nice touch. I had a couple of the original Sun Gold and Remco figures growing up in the 80s, so nice to see that they're back in this form. So these are made by Formo Toys, relatively new company based in America, I believe, and I've got the first wave of their Legends of Dragonor line of action figures, which are absolutely awesome. I'll show those off for comparison later, but these are 3 definitive nods to some of the Sun Gold figures of the day. So we've got Magnon, Huck and Baltard, and we flick over the card so you can see what they all are, and they're all numbered. I probably won't get this guy, he looks a bit weird and evil, but I definitely got all 3 here, and each one has a bio on the back and a comic, which is very nice. So there's a bit of lore building going on here. I must say these are very nice thick card backs, which is always an odd selling point, but definitely pretty cool. They've got the same they've got Magnon and Baltard fighting, and the lovely, very reminiscent, very nostalgic logo. Adult collectors, they're all numbered, and includes illustrated story or a comic, as I said. So let's open up Magnon, Huck and Baltard and have some nostalgic goodness. Just a shout out to BBTS, Big Bad Toy Store, online. So the world's biggest online toy store as far as I know. So I don't think these are available in Australia as yet. So I got these from America, and they all came at once a couple of days ago, which is great. But here's all the stuff out of the lovely thick card bag. So Huck, the actual figure, which we'll look at more closely, and all the accessories come in little bags, which is lovely. So Huck has a cape. He's the only one that comes with this lovely cloth cape. He has a sword and shield, which is very familiar to the old Sun Gold. And on the back, very similar to the Masters of the Universe Origins figures, he's also modular, so you can take apart and swap other figures, and the comic inside. So let's have a bit of a deeper dive and play around with Huck. I must say, when I opened the packet, it was a very pleasant plasticky smell straight from the factory into my hands. Love it. So here's Huck with all of his goodies, including the sword, shield and the cape. All of that stuff is removable, and here's the lovely little stuff that it comes with, and this is very familiar to the back of the original Masters of the Universe cards, which had their figures and their names. There's the modular parts, there's the lovely cover of the comic, and there's a bit of a story about Huck, and some pretty interesting backstory there. Lovely art. I hope we get this guy. He looks familiar. I think I've seen pictures of him on eBay and stuff. He's one of the more expensive figures. So yes, hopefully these are hints of what Formo Toys are going to give us in the future for these wonderful Warriors of the Galaxy line. But yes, here's Huck. As the back says, all his parts are modular. His sword and shield fit into his hands very easily, and he's got all the familiar stuff from the Sun Gold figures. So this loincloth kind of design and the harness design will be familiar to any of those who had those figures in the 80s. And yeah, easy enough to come out, very easy. The joints are still stiff, but very, very modular, like just pops right off. No problem at all. So yeah, all the legs, the boots, all of that stuff can come off, which is wonderful. And the harness can come out too, and that's a very familiar clasp system to the Masters of the Universe. And this is pliable, the loincloth, and it's got the furry undies underneath. So yes, modular, love it. Very cool indeed. Here we have Magnon, and I must give a shout out to the little baggies that the accessories come in, which is very handy when you collect action figures, little baggies to throw different heads and fists and, you know, weapons and stuff on. Little baggies are always very handy, so that's a nice touch. So yes, here is Magnon, and he looks a bit different from Huck. In fact, we'll bring Huck, K plus Huck, out here, and you can see that obviously they share the same body type mostly, but different harness and different boots. And so yeah, the braces are the similar on the wrists, and yeah, different colors, all that kind of stuff. But yes, he's pretty awesome. I love the bright colors, the blue and the reds really pop. Same shield as Huck. I'll just take that off, and he's also got a different sword as well. I do like that the shields have little dents, and you know, kind of like it's beaten, it's steel, it's kind of handmade, little cuts and dents on it. It's obviously very battle hardened, and a little scimitar as well, which again has got little cuts and that kind of stuff on it. Very nice touch. And Magnon himself with his harness, that red jaw really pops. Very cool indeed. And you notice he's got extra little braces on his shins there, and they've got that very similar clasp system, just like he does on the back. And obviously he's got the same modular parts, and they've all got the same. All three figures that we're looking at today all have the same articulation, so they move. The head moves. Obviously all these parts are removable. The waist moves at the shoulders there. The wrists actually move as well. Still quite stiff, so yes, the wrists move, which is cool. Bit of leg articulation, and I think the ankles move as well, or the but yes, the boot. Very muscular, very similar to the original and continuing Masters of the Universe figure. Obviously big, bulky, beefy dudes with weapons, and obviously Magnon here comes with a different comic with that wonderful artwork on the front, same on the back, the modular parts, and he has his own comic origin story on this little lovely fold out, and I hope we get some of these people as well, which is pretty cool. And there's a picture of him and Huck fighting. And there's some of the Legends of Dragonor figures. So yes, there's number 2. Magnon, very happy. Let's look at the third and final figure. Finally, we have Baltard, the unstoppable creator of chaos. So him and Magnon are the two characters that are featured on all the Warriors of the Galaxy cards. And I have noticed that they all have different colors. So Huck is red, Magnon is blue, and Baltard has yellow on the back of the backing card, so that's a nice touch to differentiate them. But yes, you can see that Baltard has the same kind of body as the others. Lovely light purple skin. He's got different braces on his wrists than the other two characters, but he shares the same boot design as Magnon, and obviously the same harness, same modulation, same modular parts, and he's got the lovely face with the kind of LV troll-like ears, the big brow, and the lovely sunburnt red / orange ponytail top dot. And this shield is very, very familiar, and those of you that collected the original Sun Gold figures in the 80s, you'll have recognized this shield. So yes, very nostalgic line. I love the simplicity of the colors, the modular parts, just the world building, the shared body types, but how they make them all their own unique characters with just some simple design choices. It's fabulous, and I love the inclusion of the little mini comic or illustrated story, as they call it, with each character has their own kind of background and lore. And I certainly hope what is featured here with this wonderful art by Emiliano Santilucci, I believe, Santilucia, and the wonderful creators who have created the lore of the Warriors of the Galaxy, something which the Galaxy Warriors from Sun Gold in the 80s didn't have, I believe, all this kind of lore. So it's wonderful that they're doing a bit of world building and giving these characters some backstory. So hopefully we'll see more of this line. But I'm very happy with these, and let's have a bit of comparison time as well with some other somewhat similar figures. This is my vintage, my childhood He-Man figure from the 80s. As you can tell, because he isn't in a great condition and he's got his chewed up hand. But yeah, you can see that they fit right in. Obviously, the original Masters of the Universe figures have that kind of hunched over, half bent leg kind of squatting pose, whereas these more stand up, a lot more straighter, so they're slightly taller. But yeah, you can see they certainly fit right in. You can see the inspiration with the simple armor and the boots and all that kind of stuff. Another comparison here is a Baltard with the compared with the Masters of the Universe Origins Faker from Mattel. So the Origins line from Masters of the Universe is more like the vintage style, but with added articulation. So again, you can see very similar scale, musculature, and they also fit right in. One last comparison here is Huck compared with the also Masters of the Universe Origins cartoon collection, Beastman. And I will say that the weapons are nice and modular as well, so you can actually swap the Warriors of the Galaxy weapons with the Masters of the Universe weapons as well, which is pretty awesome to see. Gotta admit, this is an impressive display. So at the front here, the first couple of rows, these are the Legends of Dragonor figures, which are teased in the little comic inserts that come with the new Warriors of the Galaxy. We can see Barbaro at the back there. So this was the first line of action figures that Formo Toys produced. These have the same modular parts, the same bright, bold, beautiful colours, capes, unique accessories, all of that. So yes, they look very different from each other. I just love these figures, and that's these figures made me like really take notice of Formo Toys. And I got the whole wave of 6 figures because they all came with a part which you could build a 7th figure, which is this very Jack Kirby like wonderful weirdo, very colourful and almost looks a bit Aztecian, and just yeah, Jack Kirby kind of armor. Absolutely love it. So yes, each if you bought the whole wave, like one of them came with the head, one of them came with the arm, etc., and you had the opportunity to build a figure. So they've produced a few figures since this wave. So a wave 1.5, which I believe was just a recolor of these characters, and then a wave 2, which I'm tempted to get, but Big Bad Toy Store is the only place that sells them at the moment, I believe. And yeah, with shipping and all that to Australia, I've got to be a bit more frugal with what I buy, but these are just so awesome. You'll also notice that they make dragons, which is also in the little booklets that come in the Warriors of the Galaxy. So as part of the Legends of Dragonor, when they unveiled the dragons, they wowed everybody as well. So these dragons basically can either be put down like a creature and ridden by these characters as like a steed, like He-Man rides Battlecat, or standing on 2 legs as a creature by itself, and they're absolutely huge and very, very impressive. So there we go. These are the Warriors of the Galaxy. I'm very impressed with these for sure. In fact, I've been using Huck as a bit of a fidget toy as I've been watching TV and Netflix and stuff. Just been, taking him apart, playing with his weapons and all that kind of stuff. Very nostalgic, very comfort food action figure. And I just love what Formo Toys are doing, and I hope they are able to continue to create more figures like this in the future. Very excited to see what they come up with next. So yes, these are available. All of these are available at Big Bad Toy Store, and I definitely recommend that you give Formo Toys a follow on all their socials as well to see all of their upcoming releases. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that stuff, and I'll catch you in the next video. Goodbye, geeks.